function. So we have VLOOKUP and we have HLOOKUP. It's just V simply means vertical lookup. Some of you might have heard it. Why H simply means horizontal lookup. And what does this do? What do they do? Lookup functions are very powerful tool in Excel. Very, very powerful. One of the most used tool in Excel. But they come with some limitations. So we can for now we can just look at what lookup function does. Then later we'll deal with the limitations and how to overcome them. But let us talk about lookup. We have VLOOKUP and we have HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, this is VLOOKUP. Then we also have HLOOKUP, which is this. So H is for horizontal, V is for vertical. These are vertical data, these are vertical data, and these are horizontal data. So now you want to look up for the name. This image is for this. So let me just so this image is for this, the table is for this. So we want to look up for the name. Let's read what this lookup function means. What does it mean? Lookup value. First find lookup value. We find table array. We find column, index number, and we find range lookup. So all these are the values you need to insert. Now, if you look at the lookup function with VLOOKUP, you see that lookup value, table arrays, and column index, column number, they are compulsory data set you must have. Very compulsory, because they are not in square brackets. Let me zoom in for you to see. So zoom in. I think my screen is more better now. So VLOOKUP, lookup value. What values do you want to look up? So we want to look up. Now let me read what lookup does. Looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table. It looks for a value in the leftmost column of a table. That is the table at the left hand side. That is, it can only look up for value. That simply means that it can only look up for value in the ID column, because our ID column is the leftmost column. Are you with me? It can only look up for value, and that's one of the limitations. It can only look up for value in the leftmost column of the table. That is, if you want to look up if we want our lookup value to be name, we have to shift name to the left hand side of the table. But let's continue. So we want to look up our value, and our value we want to look up is in the ID. So our ID is here. Let's choose H4. Then table array. What table? We want to look up in this table. So you can just drag the table. Then after dragging the table, you have chosen your table. Then look column number. What column number do you want to look for? We are choosing name. And name is in what column? Column 1, column 2. So you pick 2. Then lookup, range lookup. That is, this one is just talking about exact match. You can choose what for exact match you choose 0. For there's other ones that you can choose -1 or 1, but you just choose 0, which is the exact match. 0 means exact match. So 0. So you can just press OK. And that's your function. It is still empty now because we choose this cell H4 and we have not inserted anything to look up for. So now let's choose what to look up for. We want to look for you can only look up for in the leftmost column, and now we have selected our ID. So we want to look up for number. Let's look up for 117, and 117 gives us a maker. So if you check 120, what is the name of 120? You get Esther, and this is 120, and you get Esther. If you look up for 111, you get Akin, and this is Akin, which is Akin. So that's just lookup function. So for the score, you can just do the same. If you drag it down, it will give you a long answer. But before dragging it down, let's just formulate it. So yeah, this will be absolute value. This will be absolute reference, H4. This should also be absolute reference, because we don't want our data set to change, so that once we drag it down, it will not come down. So this is F4, but this can change, but we don't need it to change. So let's set it. This is Kate. If you drag it down, what do you have? You have Kate again. Now, but we want to look for score, which is our index number, and our index number for score is 1, 2, 3, which is the third column. So you just choose 3, and you have score 81. So when you check for 122, you have Samson and 90. The ID name is Samson and 90, and if you check here, you have Samson and 90. So you can do for grade 2 to get what the person scores. So let me just add grade. So I just choose it 4. Then you have 8. So that's just it for the. Let's do the H. You know that is vertical, so it is same thing in horizontal lookup. You can just try it out yourself. It's the same thing. You want to look for how many students. So I want to look for how many students. Let me match this together. I don't like. So, okay, so we have. So want to check how many students are in each class. Each class per, for each course. So this is the course. Want to use the course, and want to use the drop down menu here. So you can just select the course. So now let's do let's come here, do data validation. Let's clear all. Then want to list. Where do you want to list from? Want to list from here, and you press OK. So we have all our courses here, and turn it to MTH, ECN, STT. So you can just see it's working. So I hope this is not something. This is something we can all do. So we want to look them up. This is the horizontal now. I want to look up in the horizontal section, because for VLOOKUP we used this our ID. So we looked up in this section, which is vertical. But horizontal now, it is in this. Horizontal is in this. We want to look up in this you want to look up row wise. Yes, row wise, which is horizontal. Horizontal is row, vertical is column. So now press H lookup, and if you look at what H lookup does, says it's saying same thing, but it's saying top of row. So it's saying top row. That one is saying leftmost column. So it's saying top row, left and column. It goes the same way. Column is left is measured left and right. Column is measured left and right. But when you are talking about row, it's talking about top or bottom, something like that. So if you choose your lookup value, you choose this. Our table, we choose our old table. Then index number again. Now, which value do you want to look up now? You are looking up for, let me just put it like this. I think you can see my screen like this. So you want to look up for the index number. Now this is index number, row. The other one was column. This one is row. So row is like this. You know, these are our rows. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our rows. So this is our row. This is row 1. Since our table is selecting, let me select the table again so you see. Since our table is selecting this, can you see? Our table is selecting 4 rows, 4 columns. 4 rows, 4 columns. So we have 4 rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So you can come here. You want to check for Monday, which is row 2. So you enter 2 and you press OK. But now we wanted to make it absolute. So you can just have absolute reference F4. Here you press F4 and you press OK. So it still works. So you can just drag them down. And then for here you can now edit this to what 3, because this is our third. We want to look for it in our third column, our third row, I mean, which is 1, 2, 3, third row. Then want to look for in our fourth row. Now if with this it's still working with 2, so you can just change it to 4. So that's just so it's so if you change this MT101 to ECN, it will change. If you change it to SCT, it will change. If you change it to MT101 again, it will change. You tell the number of people. So this one is horizontal, the other one is vertical.